Hey there, welcome to First Glance with Jody, Vance. I'm really excited to give you a big update on a very cool health slice of the market, if you will. You may remember back in late October, we connected with Ben Lightburn. He is the CEO and co-founder of Filament Health. FH is the symbol on the NEO exchange in Canada. We got a bunch of updates to share. Ben, first and foremost, good to see you.
Likewise, glad to be on.
I was so excited when we got to speak last time for so many reasons. And for the viewer, the listener who isn't familiar with Filament Health, can you give us sort of just the Coles Notes update on what you are bringing to the table and why Filament stands out?
Gladly. So we're a biotechnology company focused on bringing psychedelic medicines to market. What's unique about us is that all the psychedelic medicines that we produce are naturally extracted from natural sources. The team here at Filament has a deep expertise in natural product extraction and manufacturing. And we've brought that expertise to the psychedelics industry because we know that people prefer natural products in their daily lives. And up till now, all psychedelics research has actually been done with artificial chemically synthesized psychedelic compounds. We're looking to change that by bringing the first ever naturally sourced psychedelic drug candidates into clinical trials.
So for those, I know this was my first question, how do you ensure the reliability of a dose on a natural product?
That is definitely the number one question we get. We know that natural sources have a certain amount of variability. You know, all people are different, all dogs are different, all plants are different. And when it comes to making medicine, it's very important to have a highly consistent dose so that you know that you get the same amount of the active ingredients every single time. And that's probably one reason why people think that natural sources are somewhat incompatible with pharmaceutical products. So to bridge that gap is really where Filament comes in. We've developed a whole bunch of technology which allows us to overcome the natural variability in these psychedelic species and transform them into pharmaceutical grade drug candidates. So what we do is we extract the psychoactive agents from the raw materials like magic mushrooms. We purify them to remove a lot of the non-active substances. And then we add a specific ratio of different, what we call standardizing agents to make sure that when we produce a capsule, the capsule contains exactly 25 milligrams of psilocybin. But what makes our capsule different to a normal or we could say a traditional synthetic capsule of 25 milligrams of psilocybin is that our capsule contains all of the other natural compounds present in the magic mushroom. These are other compounds you might have heard of called psilocin, baeocystin, norbaeocystin, up to a dozen other compounds that are naturally found in the magic mushroom. We take great pains to make sure to keep those in our final product. Whereas if you make psilocybin synthetically, you don't have those at all. So we're hoping that these other compounds can actually show to have an improvement over the therapeutic effect compared with just single purified synthetic psilocybin.
Why there's a reason for those other pieces of this plant's genetic puzzle, to be there and present. That reason that it makes me think back to before a time where we understood the difference between THC and CBD, for example, right? And now it's just becoming part of our vernacular. People say, "Oh, you're taking some CBD for your sleep. How's it working for you? You got any THC in that for your pain, or you just da-da-da?" Like we've all kind of become experts. So you're educating us.
It's a good analogy. Imagine the cannabinoid market if there were only synthetic cannabinoids or only synthetic THC, right? That's kind of the future of the world that was coming in the psychedelics market and until we came along, right? Imagine the cannabinoid market without CBD, right? Just like Filament is like imagine the psilocybin market without psilocin, which is the actual active metabolite, the active form of psilocybin. So in that particular case, the cannabis analogy is a very good one.
Well, let's just explain to our listener or our viewer, FH is the symbol for Filament Health. And again, Ben Lightburn is the CEO and co-founder. And Ben, always a pleasure to chat with you. We mentioned that we talked late 2021. It was October 2021. And I got all excited and jazzed about this because there are so many uses for those, thinking, well, this is just another way to get high. this is a whole broad spectrum of uses, medical uses that could come into play here. Explain where you've gone with regard to clinical trials.
So since we last talked late last year, there have been many advancements in our clinical trial program. First and foremost, we were very excited to receive FDA authorization for our first phase 1 human clinical trial. This is a trial that's taking place down in the United States at the University of California, San Francisco. And in fact, it's the very first clinical trial to investigate the use of naturally sourced psychedelic clinical trial candidates. In addition, it's the first trial to directly administer a compound called psilocin. Psilocin is the active form of psilocybin. Contrary to popular belief, psilocybin is not actually active in the human body. It needs to convert into a related compound called psilocin. But because psilocin is unstable, especially when manufactured synthetically, all psychedelic research up till now has been done with synthetic psilocybin rather than synthetic psilocin. But by administering psilocin, we're thinking that there might be several advantages, such as faster onset time, because you don't have to wait for this conversion to take place. A fewer gastrointestinal side effects, because this conversion is thought to take place in the gut, and also more consistent dosing. A lot of people report that they are non-responders to psilocybin, and we think that might be because they fail to completely convert the psilocybin into the active form of psilocin. So this trial is scheduled to begin dosing in March next month. So we're very excited to be able to get the very first data comparing psilocybin directly to psilocin in, as I mentioned, the very first trial to use naturally sourced psychedelic drug candidates.
What a great explainer that was. I feel like I understand it better with that in mind and where we might be headed. So that's the initial clinical trial, as you said, starting in March. That's huge. And then what about phase 2?
So in the meantime, what's been quite exciting is we've developed a number of really excellent partnerships with other psychedelics companies. These are partnerships where essentially customers will license our clinical trial candidates for use in their clinical trials. And through this program, we've now had multiple phase 2 clinical trial applications and approvals. One that was announced a couple of weeks ago was a partnership with a company called Cybin Therapeutics. And we received a phase 2 authorization to administer our product to depressed patients that are undergoing SSRI therapy. And this is a very important question for psychedelics research, whether people that are on SSRIs can be suitable candidates for psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. And in fact, if we can prove that they are, we open up the market substantially. So a lot of great things. One is that we're actually generating revenue through these agreements. We're also getting different health authorities around the world to give their stamp of approval of our clinical trial candidates for multiple different phase 1 and phase 2 trials.
That's a big move. So at this point, I'd like to reiterate, FH is the symbol on the NEO exchange in Canada. We're talking Filament Health, and we're with CEO and co-founder Ben Lightburn. And for people to be getting in at this level of your company's growth, I mean, obviously there's risk involved when you're in trials and such, but what you've just explained, with the cross-pollination, if you will, to use a natural term, between this one trial, that it's for more than just one thing. And it really is a blossoming lane for science, never mind investment. Where do you see these key government approvals going forward in terms of investment purposes?
Well, we're firm believers that we can't boil the ocean all on our own. And so we think that leveraging various partnerships, like you said, is a good way of spreading around the risk and cost of clinical trial development. It's very risky, it's very expensive. So why not develop a network of partnerships to kind of spread that risk and cost amongst other parties? So eventually, what we expect is that several of our partners will actually have approved drugs, in which case we'll be manufacturing it for them and supplying it for them but we'll be collecting a royalty. So this is, like I said, it's just a great way that we can generate revenue up front and also generate revenue on the back end when there's approved drugs.
For those who are tuned in who maybe suffer from depression, anxiety, mental health struggles, or know somebody who does, when you're touching on how this might impact treatment, can you give just like, obviously everybody's different, there's no guarantees here, but the goal and the focus in the study that you've done to this point, this doesn't replace therapy. This is a therapy that comes with others, right?
Correct. It's currently thought that psychedelics serve to enable psychotherapy in a way that allows you to target the root causes of whatever your condition might be. So they are in no way a standalone cure. They're always taken in conjunction with a course of psychotherapy. One of the things you mentioned, listeners or viewers that may be facing certain mental health challenges. One of the very exciting things that's happened recently in the Canadian psychedelics industry is that Health Canada has restored access to restricted drugs like psilocybin via something called the Special Access Program. The Special Access Program is a program in Health Canada that allows patients through their providers to have access to unapproved drugs like psilocybin. It's an experimental therapy. And what's exciting about what's exciting about that program with respect to Filament is that we are one of a very limited number of Canadian companies that has an experimental therapy in Canadian clinical trials or has received approval to go into Canadian clinical trials. And so I encourage patients to contact their provider to come to an assessment whether or not the Special Access Program might be something that's suitable for them.
What a great idea. What a great little note to put on the bottom of this video. If you're a subscriber here, you might want to flag this one. Can you give us an idea, please, if you would, Ben, how people can dive a little deeper into your investor deck and maybe reach out and get a hold of you and whatnot? We see you're very busy in the lab. Your team is hard at work. Where can we find out?
It's actually just me. I'm the only employee. I do interviews, and then after that, I have to do some analysis. So
I didn't know that.
No. I
got you. That was some good deadpan. I was just going with the flow. Of course, you like the team over here.
Yeah, the fake. This is all green screen. This is all just fake.
Yeah,
we're just fake. A virtual company. Definitely the best way to follow along is to go to our website, sign up for our mailing list. There's a lot of really cool pictures of magic mushrooms. Our social media, just reach out. We're quite approachable.
Okay, so filamenthealth.com. What's our?
It's filament.health.
Filament.health. See, I should have had that written down. FILAMENT.health. Filament.health. And you can find it under FH, the symbol on the NEO exchange in Canada. Ben, a pleasure to chat. Keep me posted.
Thank you very much.